Thank you for joining us, everyone, today for our September Westside Association meeting. This is our virtual meeting again, we're excited to have everybody. If you aren't familiar with who we are Westside Association, and our organization, we meet monthly, and we really are looking to assist and encourage the growth and promotion of Westside businesses and our community. Typically, we'll start off with our treasurer's report. However, Mike is not able to join us today. So John is going to start us with a chamber report. John, take it away.
Well, I haven't done one for this group for a while, so this will be an extended chamber report.
Perfect.
We'll go through everything we've done for the last 6 months, so just bear with me. No, we've got actually a pretty busy fall coming up, in spite of everything that's going on and has been postponed. I'll talk a little bit about that. September, first of all, is Chamber of Commerce Month. I don't know how many of you know that. The governor proclaimed that this past week. I was kind of surprised that he did, given his relationship with statewide Chamber of Commerce and others. But that was nice that he did that. So be kind to your chamber, at least in the month of September. Couple things going on. We have a lot of virtual programming coming up. Our regular OC connection is coming up. I believe on. I'm just zipping through some papers here, trying to get dates. September 9th, Wednesday morning, 7:45. It's a kind of a sharing referrals and doing a elevator pitch to your business peers, so you can get on that virtually. We've been doing that all summer long, and we would like to get back to a in-person opportunity at some point here, so we'll be looking at doing that hopefully soon. Social Hub, also virtual on the 15th of September at 8 o'clock. Chris Burns with Be Connected will be doing that. I think the topic is marketing trends in social media during the COVID-19 pandemic. In case anybody hasn't heard, we're in a pandemic. That's what they tell me anyway. So I'm still taking a wait and see attitude on that. We have a 3-part series, webinar series that Wifley is doing on our behalf. It's Leading and Managing Change Through Disruption. Starts on the September 22nd. It's over the noon hour. It's kind of a bring your own lunch while you're listening to the webinar. It'll be also on October 20th and also November 17th. So be looking for those sorts of things. We have our usual monthly HR briefing. We're doing an update on FMLA and also the ADA in relation to the COVID-19 environment. Was trying to get away from the COVID-19 stuff, but there seems to be a theme that has to be automatically built into every program that we're doing around that. I mentioned at the ambassadors meeting this morning, we had our annual meeting initially scheduled for November 2nd at the convention center. We are going to be postponing that. I don't think people are quite ready yet, especially at an indoor venue, to attend those sorts of things. Our hope is that we can push it back into the first quarter of the new year and hold it in person, either in a kind of an evening thing that we've done in the past, or it might be a lunch program. If we don't think we can pull that off, we will do a virtual annual meeting sometime in December, and that'll be probably a 20-minute, half-hour type program. But we're still doing the same sorts of things. We'll be doing award winners, and I know right now we're looking to identify nominees for Small Business of the Year. So if you have some ideas for us, please give me a holler and suggest somebody who might be worthy of that award. We finished up with our golf outing a couple weeks ago, which was fun. 156 golfers, full, I think 33 years in a row, we had a full house in that thing. So that's, people, I think people enjoyed it. They showed up, they stayed a while, and they had a pretty good time. Couple things we're going to be doing in the latter part of October. We're going to be doing some candidate forums. We're doing one with the 18th Senate District with Senator Dan Fine and his opponent Aaron Wojciechowski, I think his last name is. I always have a hard time with that. And then we have the 54th Assembly District forum that we're doing with Gordon Hentz and Donnie Herman. So that should be interesting. Very much contrast in terms of candidates on both those in both those races. Those will be broadcast live on WOSH during Bob Burnell's morning segment. We're also looking to do one with the good Congressman Glenn Grothman and his opponent. I forget her name, but I'm looking at Al when I say that. So I think it's Jessica. So we're looking for a date on that also. We have a couple other. We have our introduction to project management series starting next week. There's still a time to get in that. That's going to be virtual. All these are virtual, unfortunately. One thing we're doing is our Leadership Oshkosh program, which I think, do we have any graduates from yesterday's program on the call? We held it over at the world headquarters at Oshkosh Corp. So Rachel, thanks for your help on that. We graduated 42 participants and did a mostly in-person ceremony, but maybe 20 or so joined us in a virtual environment. So that was all good. But they are going to be doing their trivia night on the 24th of September, and that's going to be a virtual deal. So teams will be spread all over the city of Oshkosh, and we'll be joining that that competition virtually, and it's a fundraiser for the day-by-day warming shelter. I think in past years they've raised about $10,000 for various organizations, and we're hoping for the same thing to happen. So I'm thinking that's about all we have. So I don't know if there's any questions or comments. Anybody has any ideas or suggestions for us? We're all ears, certainly. Oh, masks. We're selling masks too, and got 5,000 left in the conference room. We sold over 25,000 protective face masks over the last couple of months. That's something I never thought I'd be in the business of doing, but these are very stylish. Surgical 3-ply. They're not cloth. They're disposable face masks, but they're $26 for a box of 50. And if you really are interested, we do have the new and improved K9 or KN95 face masks. Those are proven to be very, very effective. They tell me. Straight from China in all cases. So those are a little more expensive. So, any questions, comments, thoughts, ideas? I'm all ears.
It sounds like Nancy Jo would like you to model the face mask.
I could do that. I'm trying to think. We're supposed to be wearing face masks, aren't we, in our office? I guess I don't have one. So there you go. Yeah. Amy's got hers. So maybe I'll try to find one for Nancy Jo.
Sounds good. Thank you, John. It sounds like there's a lot of great things going on. Thank you for everything the Chamber's been doing. If anyone has any additional questions, feel free to reach out to John. Otherwise, if you go to the Chamber's website, there's a lot of information out there. There's a calendar of events, which everything is coming up. A lot that you can register on there, and a lot of the different resources that are available via the website. So thank you for that information.
I'm going to stop video here because I'm going to eat my lunch, and I don't want everyone to see me eat my lunch. So
what are you having? What are you having?
I have my usual. I eat every day, and I've eaten this since last November. It's mixed nuts. So I got pecans, almonds, and dried cranberries, and two
Tomatoes?
oranges. These are
Oh,
little oranges. My wife packs these for me every morning. So I said, "You think you could come up with something different than this?" But that's what I eat every day.
oh my God.
It's
Love
great.
it.
Sounds good. Sounds healthy.
Well, I don't know about that, but it's delicious.
Well, enjoy your lunch, John.
Right. I will be listening though.
Sounds good. Thank you. We just have a couple items for new business. We are going to send out a survey. I know there's a lot of opinions on both sides, whether we should stay virtual or we should resume in person. So we'd like to hear from you, our members. So watch for a survey that's coming out that will just give us a better take on what to do moving forward with our meetings. The other thing as a board that we decided to do was we will be donating to our presenters charity of choice. So all of our presenters moving forward, we've asked where they would like a donation of $100 to go to. Amy is the first person that we will be doing this with, and she has chosen the Grand. So as an organization, Westside, we will be donating $100 towards the Grand. If you haven't seen, they are doing a red light on their building just to kind of bring awareness to the need to support the arts in the community. So anything that we can do to help support them. But as an organization, we will be donating $100 to the Grand. So thank you, Amy, for choosing the Grand. And then just some virtual housekeeping rules. We are asking everybody to please mute yourself. We will be doing a Q&A at the end. And if you would like to ask a question, you can certainly use the chat feature, which is at the bottom of your screen. It's a little box. I think probably everyone saw that. Nancy Jo has used that earlier. So if you have a question, please feel free to type that in. And then Patty is going to moderate those questions at the end. And we are very fortunate today to have Amy Albright, who is our Executive Director for the Oshkosh Convention and Visitors Bureau. She joined the Convention and Visitors Bureau in August of 2017. And in her role, she directs the sales and marketing efforts for the CVB. In 1996, she was hired by the Oshkosh YMCA as the fitness director. And over the course of a 20-year career, she has worked in marketing, membership, public relations, community relations, fundraising, and development. For the past 10 years, Amy's focus has been on marketing, branding, and fundraising as the Mission and Brand Enhancement Director, and most recently, the Communications and Development Director at the YMCA before she joined the CVB. As an Oshkosh native, Amy has dedicated herself to enriching the Oshkosh community. She is a current member of various events committees throughout Oshkosh. She is married to her husband, Bob, and has two teenage children, Cammie and Bobby. And we are very fortunate to be hearing from you today, Amy. So please take it away.
well, hi, everybody. It's kind of funny. So a couple of things about masks that John was mentioning is I never really thought I would get to the point where I needed to find a matching mask for what I was going to wear during the day. So we're definitely in a very interesting world. If you've heard of Two Blondes in downtown Oshkosh, they're actually doing blinged out masks. So somebody for my birthday gave me a blinged face shield, which I thought about wearing for this meeting, but then I thought that probably was not necessary. But oh, Jody's wearing hers right now, so she'll model hers. She got a turquoise strap on hers. So check out Two Blondes. You're going to hear me say a lot of times today we're going to talk a lot about supporting local. And so you're going to, that's probably the one thing that we can do at this point. So I'm going to share my screen and see if I know what I'm doing here. I think I do this. Can you guys see this? On here. And start from the beginning. Okay, can everyone see that? Okay, very good. Can't hear you, but I can see you nodding, and you all look adorable. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about tourism. I'm going to try to go kind of quickly because I'd love to get questions. I think tourism is such a big, vast subject. And one of the things that I find when I do presentations is that question and answers can be as valuable or more valuable than actually the presentation. So starting in mid-March, things got a little crazy, and we're going to kind of start there and kind of show you the road we've been on. Quick, I think everybody on this call probably knows this, but I want to remind everybody how we are funded here at the Convention and Visitors Bureau. We are a 501c6, and we are funded almost 100% by room tax, a lodging tax that comes from hotels. So in Oshkosh, there is a 10% room tax collected. That 10% goes to the city. And of that 10%, 6% of that 10 or 60% of the 10 comes to us at the Convention and Visitors Bureau to continue to market Oshkosh and bring things in to create more tax. The other 40% of that 10 goes to the city. 20 of that goes to pay off debt on the convention center, and 20% of that goes to operations. Our city chooses to use that money to fund a special events coordinator. They do give some money to the Grand. They could do whatever they wanted with it, but you'll find that our city does believe in tourism and finds that that 20% really should be used for that. So we really feel like in Oshkosh, all that 100% of that 10% really is used to forward tourism in Oshkosh. Why does tourism matter? So I thought we'd start with 2019, which is a much more fun year to talk about when we're talking about tourism, and talk about why these dollars matter and why 2020 has been so hard. So in a nutshell, you can see on the screen, visitor spending was $261 million, an increase of almost 3% over 2018. So we're really on an upward trend. Tourism has been growing for, over the past years. And Oshkosh has become, a really important part of our economy here, supporting about 5,000 jobs in Winnebago County. That number was up. Business sales, $508 million, and visitors generating taxes in Winnebago County. So that's a good thing for everybody. If we look at the state of Wisconsin, we're talking $1 billion industry. They reached, in 2019, the state of Wisconsin reached a $22 billion economic impact from tourism. Statewide traveler spending generated $1.6 billion in state and local tax revenue, $1.3 billion in federal taxes. So when you think about those kind of numbers, you see why this matters, right? I wanted to talk a little bit about AirVenture just because that is our signature event. And with 2020, and we know that there's a very big loss in events, mass gatherings. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But EAA AirVenture really tells a story of what it means to have AirVenture in Oshkosh and what it means to not have it. And I don't think anybody ever saw this coming. I mean, I know, we were gearing up for a bigger, better 2020. Things were just on track in March. I look back to March 1st and man, we could have never predicted what happened. So in 2019, record attendance, 93 nations celebrating 50 years in Oshkosh. I mean, just such a big feather in the cap of our city, our county, and our state. 642,000 people. When you look at this, all the different aircrafts that were here, 863 commercial exhibitors from around the world coming to Oshkosh to celebrate aviation, to sell aviation, to be a part of aviation. Whitman Regional Airport, every year at AirVenture time, becomes the busiest airport in the country, in the world. And this picture is kind of deceiving, but I love this picture because it kind of feels like this is what AirVenture is. This was actually a time-lapse picture, so this really didn't happen like this, so don't freak out and think that, this was crazy, but this is really what it feels like when you're out there. And every single person that attends AirVenture talks about it refers to it as Oshkosh. That is the kind of recognition brand recognition, name recognition that you couldn't buy if you tried, with 93 countries represented saying, we're here in Oshkosh, we're here at Oshkosh. They're not saying they're here at AirVenture, they're saying they're here at Oshkosh. This is another thing you just cannot replace. 851 media representatives from 6 continents were there. So you can imagine the kind of media attention that an event like AirVenture gets all across the world. So while we did get some media attention this year because it didn't happen, it doesn't really compare, and it's not the kind of a media attention that that anybody wants. If I had to do one more interview that started with, man, this can't be good. Yeah, really? Yeah, that's exactly right. It's not good. So this is a big miss, not having events, particularly AirVenture. And then the dollars, of course. So you've hopefully heard these numbers by now, because we've been talking about them, because this is going to be really important when we talk about what's coming forward in the presentation. 2017, EAA partnered with the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh to do an economic impact study, found that the impact was $170 million over 5 counties. Really, the odds of that being more than that, very likely. So hard to even calculate the impact. You think about everybody that from renting their home and taking in a couple of $1,000s to do with what they want, to people that are working on the IT out there, the landscaping, the tent setup, the I mean, everything that goes into it. It just is a ripple throughout Wisconsin that is very difficult to replace. So when we talk about hotels and where we're at with hotels in Oshkosh, the 2 words that you'll hear are occupancy and ADR. And so we're going to talk about those just a little bit. Occupancy rate is obviously how many people are staying in the hotel. And if you want to take a peek at our occupancy in March, we were down about 50%. And that was because pretty much everything kind of hit the fan mid-month. Prior to March 15th, 16th, 17th, things were looking good. And then it just dropped off. April was brutal, just absolutely brutal, down 75%. And honestly, we are fortunate to be down only 75%. There are places in the country and the world that were down as much as 100%, if not 95, 90. So Oshkosh was able to hang in there with a little bit of business. May ticked up a little bit, and we're slowly, you see a slow tick up in what's going on. Nothing can replace not having mass gatherings and not having some of our big events. ADR is that average daily rate that people pay. Now, the reason that this is important is because even though if you go back to our occupancy and look at, a month like June, okay, we're down 50%. The amount that people are paying for those rooms is so much less. So, when you go to stay in a hotel for an event, the rates are going to go up. So it's supply and demand, and we have not had the demand, so the prices are down. This number just came out basically about a week ago, saying that the ADR in Oshkosh, Appleton and Oshkosh had the largest decrease across the state of about 50%. So you're looking at AirVenture probably primarily. So if you look at when people come in to stay for AirVenture, these hotels are able to get premium rates. And right now, if somebody's coming to go boating for the night, they're not going to be paying those rates. So just in July, the average rate that the hotels were getting in 2019 was $175 a room, and now it's about 80. So that makes a huge difference too. So when you look at both of those things meeting, you can see how the dollars really just don't shake out positively for the tax that is then generated. So obviously that puts us in a crisis. What are we doing? What we did right away is we looked at the CVB. Really, we had to relook at ourselves and say, we're kind of a startup business. Things are changing so fast. How are we going to handle this? And our estimated revenue for 2020 was about 1.1 million. Now our projection is about 500,000. So we really had to make some big adjustments. I mentioned earlier that we're a 501c6, and as John can attest, the chamber is also a 501c6, and those organizations did not qualify for PPP loans. So while you'll see some nonprofits, the Grand is a great example where they were able to qualify for the PPP loan, the YMCA, the Pain Arts Center. Unfortunately, 501c6 organizations did not qualify for that. So we had to make some changes, and I would say we were pretty aggressive with our changes. Obviously the easy things were, get rid of, interns for the time being, cutting, anything that we could, whether that was travel, supplies, expenses, freezing any bonuses, increases. And the hardest thing we had to do is we really looked at our staff layout, and we made some permanent we eliminated some job descriptions. So I like to call them positions, because obviously the people that we had to let go were like family. We had a group of 5 very close-knit people, and that was really tough. We eliminated our sales position because right now meetings and conferences just have dried up. We also have properties in town that have sales forces that they are working on that. So that was one that we felt we could get by without right now. And then we also eliminated our marketing position. And what I thought, my background is in marketing, and I just had to say to myself, if I was starting up a business and I didn't have a lot of capital, would I hire a marketing person or would I do it myself? And right now, for the time being, that's what's happening. The other thing we did right away is we looked at our locals and said, like, how can we engage our local community to help? And if you remember, during Safer at Home, there was not a lot to do. I mean, really, it was, you could take out or get delivery. That was pretty much it from restaurants. And we looked at our tourism wheel and said, okay, we could throw $1 million at marketing hotels right now, and it wouldn't matter. It would not, and not only do we not have $1 million, it wouldn't help. People were not going. They were being encouraged to go. They couldn't go. So we started a Facebook page called, at the time it was called Local Delivery and Takeout or something like that. And it was really just something where people could share what they were doing to support local restaurants. So they would get food from Pete's Garage, take a picture of their hamburger, and put it on this Facebook page. And people would say, oh my God, I love Pete's Garage. Pete's Garage is great. And this site kind of blew up because I think people got really excited about the fact that they could do something to help. Now, mind you, that it's also a delicious thing you can do to help. And in many cases, the only thing you could do. So that was something we did right away. That group is almost at 10,000 members. And we actually changed the name now to Support Local Oshkosh, so that it was, once the restaurants and things opened up, we knew that our local retail needed help. Places like the Grand needed help. I mean, everybody needs help. So we really wanted to open it up. I would say it still leans maybe more towards restaurants, but in general, anybody can talk about any sort of local business that they're supporting here. We don't allow negativity on this site, so we do some deleting when people start to, if they're talking badly about something. We just figure there's other places they can do that on social media, and we can have a place that is as positive as we can monitor and keep up with. So we don't deliver puppies, but we've been delivering what we call swag bags. Funny story, For Imprint interviewed me about this concept, and he thought that I said plague bags, and he thought that that was genius. And I'm like, okay, no, swag bags, not plague bags. But we were talking about, we had all these bags. So if you can imagine, we have an entire year of meetings and conferences that are in question. And we had just partnered with For Imprint to get these really high-end bags that we could give to every single person that would attend a conference. We don't have any conferences. What do we do? So we created a swag bag with some of the stuff that we had laying around, and we incentivized supporting local. So basically said, if you support local, we're gonna, share your picture, and we'll give you a swag bag, doing just different contests. And it was pretty funny, especially during Safer at Home. We would go out in the Oshkosh, and that little green Kia that has Oshkosh all over it, and we would deliver these, and it was like we were Publishers Clearinghouse, because I think people hadn't seen people in a long time. And we would just put it on the front porch, but sometimes the kids would be peeking through the window and they'd be like, hi. And I think they're just so happy to see anybody. So we're still doing the swag bags. As a matter of fact, everyone that does provide their address today, maybe they could send it to Patty, we will get you a swag bag. Now, the exciting part about this is we have 2 Revs gift cards that will be in 2 of the bags. So you might get a lucky bag that has an extra piece of swag in it, but the bags are very awesome for the farmer's market, etc. So Patty, is that okay if I have people email you? Okay, so if you would like a swag bag, email Patty your address and we will we'll deliver those next week. Okay, so really what we were doing with all of this was focusing on a love for Oshkosh, really trying to get the locals excited about what they could do here, trying with a very, very, very low budget, trying to keep Oshkosh top of mind for people. So we did a lot of photography sharing. We did a lot of just talking about that Oshkosh is a great destination. Not saying come here right now, but hopefully just continuing to share things about Oshkosh that people will remember when it's time to come back. We've been trying to keep up with industry trends. So leisure travel is really what's leading right now, and regional road trips are the big thing. So people, you probably see your friends saying, I went to this state park, or I went here, I went on the trail, I checked out this golf course, I went to a brewery, I did whatever. Those things are kind of the things that are starting to open up. Carry out is still a thing. People are looking for those hygiene standards. And smaller markets will be more attractive. So that's something Oshkosh really has going for it. We know cities like Chicago and New York City and bigger cities, I think, are going to struggle for a much longer time than our smaller communities. Certainly being outdoors is a big thing, and supporting local. People are really looking for travel that includes family. So that's another reason why we really want to focus on our locals, because we know that they're going to have family visiting, and whether or not those family members stay in a hotel, they're here and they're spending money. And right now we have to just take what we can get. And so we've really, we're trying, of course, always trying to fill our hotels, but at the end of the day, we need to keep our economy going here, so that when meetings and conferences come back online and events, there's things for people to do here. Mass gatherings continue to present a challenge, and I don't know how fast that will go away. That's a scary part. So this is just what a road trip to Oshkosh looks like. Tell your friends, tell them to road trip here. If they come, we'll deliver swag bags to your house for you to give to them. Whoever, if you know anybody that wants a swag bag, you just tell me and I'll hook them up. We've got a bunch. I'm glad Kelly is on the call. She may be able to chime in later with a couple of things, but this is sort of what the announcement came out, that we were looking at rebranding. And it's a little deeper than that. So I just want to kind of go through this. The City of Oshkosh and the CVB are jointly applying for an EDA grant that falls under the CARES Act to create a resiliency and diversification strategy for tourism in Oshkosh. The great part about the CARES Act with this is normally this grant would be a 50-50 match. And right now the match is much more favorable at an 80-20. So if we could get this grant, it would be much less cash that we would have to put out, and get a big impact. We've talked about this. This is sort of the reason that we're going for this grant. Tourism has been severely impacted by COVID. Our story really are those AirVenture numbers. So if you look back at those numbers, you really see how our entire economy, not just hotels, not just restaurants, how almost $200 million has been sucked out of our community. And that's a pretty big story. If awarded, this grant would allow us to create a new branding strategy. This grant isn't about billboards and ads in the paper. This is really about a strategy to look at how do we become more resilient if there's something like COVID, as well as how do we grow our tourism model, so we're not just looking at events, so we're looking at everything. So I kind of like to call it Event City and more. So events are something we know how to do, and we're going to keep doing. As soon as we can have an event, we will have an event. But this is how do we add to that mix to become better. So just going through this grant, the grant we're applying for would allow us to do a market analysis to identify gaps in the Oshkosh market. I'll give you an example of this. We're a waterfront destination, but how easy is it for people from out of town to access the water? There may be some opportunities there. This strategy will look at potential improvements that could be made to infrastructure and how are we going to attract additional visitors all year long. So really looking at what things we need to do as a community to become a more attractive destination. Then we would be seeking proposals for the brand and looking at what should our brand look like. And we would want that, so that would kind of be the whole image piece of that, and whether or not we would remain Event City or it would change. And then we would also be looking at how better to plan safe events. So we're looking actually at a staff person who would be funded by this grant, who would be kind of a resiliency coordinator and somebody that would work with the community, be sort of a liaison between tourism and the community. And that's something that would be awesome for us because, as I told you, we've lost some staff, and if we could get a staff person funded through this grant, then maybe by the end of those years, we just keep that person on and we're able to to keep them on. Before we end and just hopefully do some questions, I wanted to leave with some good news. The Longwoods group has been doing waves of traveler sentiment studies since the beginning of COVID. This is their 19th study, and they basically take 1,000 people from across the country and ask how they feel about traveling. And traveler confidence is showing some positive signs. If you look through these, the percentage of those feeling confident to travel outside of their community jumped to 49%, which is the highest level since May. So, I mean, you think about that, that's good news. People are becoming more confident in dining local, shopping local. You can read through this. So the good news of this is about half the people feel safe. The bad news is about half the people don't. So that's kind of the challenge, is that even for restaurants that are, maybe doing better this summer with outdoor dining, really nobody is killing it right now. And, our suggestion to you is, support local as much as you can, and, get creative with how you do that. If you're not comfortable going out yet, carry out, take out, buy some gift certificates, whatever it is that you can do to help. And then I think I have to try to move this, if I can do this, yes. And this is something that really resonates with me with this partnership for a grant with the city. We can't do this alone, meaning the CVB can't just come up with a campaign and do this alone. It's not really about that. It's really about how do we as a community come together to be a stronger community for everybody. So this, I think, just says it so well. You build a place where people want to visit, you will build a place where people want to live. If you build a place where people want to live, you will build a place where people want to work. If you build a place where people want to work, you'll build a place where business has to be. If you build a place where business has to be, we will be back to the building a place where people have to visit. And I think that really just speaks to the fact that we're not really just talking about people coming here for Country USA. We're talking about people coming here and experiencing the town and maybe thinking about relocating here at some point. That doesn't mean Country USA is not important. That's a hugely important part of our mix, but it means that we can be more resilient. And I think this kind of concept speaks more to a year-round product, which is something we've been talking about forever. We do really well here in the summer. What about the other months? So I would love any questions. I'm gonna go out of here. I don't know if there's Amy, yes, we'll deliver to your physical address. The swag bags. So any questions, please?
Feel free to either use the chat feature, or if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question, please feel free to do so.
question.
Oh, Jody,
Curious about bonuses?
the bonuses have been frozen, sorry. Hopefully they'll come back someday. She said she's just joking. Jeannie?
Jean.
I wanted to be on this webinar very badly because I was there the day at the convention center. Was it 9 or 10 years ago when Oshkosh became Event City? I'm sorry if I get choked up. I was so proud of that day. I knew it was being worked on, and I thought, oh, what are they going to come up with? I've been in marketing for years, and I thought, oh, I had just moved back to Oshkosh from Chicago area, not downtown, but I was disappointed in the way the city looked. You know, the old hotel was still there, and I thought, what am I doing? Why am I moving back to Oshkosh? But I had hope. I had hope. And then that day at the convention center, when it was announced Event City, and the statistics came out that we beat Milwaukee as far as events. I was so proud. I thought I meant to be here for some reason. And I was an event planner in Chicagoland, and then continued that here. And I thought, this is meant to be. This is a sign. So now when I heard that Event City may I hope it stays. That's my point. I can't imagine in my wildest imagination that it should change. I know Milwaukee is a festival city. They're very happy with that. And they're a huge city. They have lots of festivals. They can do that. That's great. But the fact that we're Event City and we wait and work and market all this work throughout the whole year is extremely impactful. And an event can be something that takes place a half a day, and people come in from all around the nation, up into, of course, AirVenture. And that Event City, along with AirVenture and the other festivals, just make absolute sense. I can't imagine changing it right now. It's only been, what, 9 years, 10 years?
So it's been about 12, like 10, 11 years before it was launched. What I would tell you about this is I don't know that it's going to change.
Yeah.
But events are different right now, and events are not.
This is temporary. This is temporary.
Yeah.
It came out today that we might have a vaccine by November 1st.
Which would be awesome. Which would be awesome.
This is temporary. I
Yeah.
know. I'm just saying, I hope it's really considered that it may not change. If it changes, it better be something damn better. But I wanted to say, I can't imagine anything better for our city right now. I've been so proud of this logo. In fact, I was thinking it's time to use some of that damn money and make t-shirts again and remarket that logo. Let's get proud. I still have my t-shirt from that day. And a water bottle.
Sure, thank you for that feedback. We'll move on to other questions. Amy, do you want to talk a little bit about maybe what is 2020? Are you starting to take reservations for 2020? What is that looking for the future? Are people, already securing dates for next year? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think that 2021 should look really,
Yep.
really good. Certainly, to Jeannie's point, if a vaccine comes out, that would be helpful. I think we've had a lot of things cancel for the first quarter. I think the first quarter of 2021 is going to be tough. Mass gatherings, they've not figured it out yet. So, for example, we have an event coming in November that still hasn't pulled the plug, and they have about 200 people, so it's a pretty small event. And we had probably a 2-hour meeting talking about, do we take temperatures when people come in? Do they have to be banded? The issue is not what we want. The issue is whether or not they can get people to come to their events. And that's the other piece of this that I think sometimes gets missed. So people were like, upset that, let's just say that AirVenture canceled. And the bottom line is if they can only get half of the people to attend, they can't make the dollars work to have the event. So, there's a lot that needs to go into talking about the safety of an event. And while I pray that if a vaccine comes out, that's just the magic bullet, we right now, traveler sentiment is 50% of the people are not going to restaurants. So, this is a real thing. I pray it's temporary, but it's, it's not something that's just, gonna, I don't know. It's a big question mark. We've been doing our hotels. We've had a lot of weddings. So weddings have been something that have come back online and people are feeling comfortable with. Weddings are a huge driver for us year round. We just received a grant from the state of Wisconsin for a promotional grant for historic wedding sites that includes the Howard, the Waters, and the Payne. Fishing tournaments have kept us with some business around here. Now those fishing tournaments have not been able to have any gatherings that go along with that. So, every event is different. Every event requires different things. I think the fall is going to be very telling to see how confident people are going back out when they can't be outside.
Great, thank you. Patty, any questions that have come in through chat?
No, I do have one question though. Amy, how far along are you in your goal of eating every salad in Oshkosh?
Well, I will tell you, unlike John and his lunch that he eats every day, I'm single-handedly trying to keep every restaurant in Oshkosh in business. I don't know that I'm doing it all on my own. Jody's helping too. No, we've been having fun with that. Just trying to, I'm like, we can't go to a Packer game, so I have a little extra money to spend, somewhere else. So that's, something that I think goes farther than people think. Whether that's just if you're at the grocery store and you buy an Oshkosh brew instead of maybe, something that was made in Milwaukee, I mean, all that money stays local. So just thinking about where your money is and where it's going, I think does make an impact. So is it easy to get to waterfront and riverfront? Yeah, so let me talk about that. So the other day, if you have a boat and you live in Oshkosh, the waterfront is amazing. If you have a kayak and you live in Oshkosh, it's amazing. I challenge you to try to rent one of those things if you're coming to town. It's very difficult. In fact, we just did a video with kayakers and there are no kayaks to rent. There are no kayaks to buy. So we ended up at Menominee Park, which there are kayak rentals, but they're to be kept in the park. And we really wanted to show where you could bring your kayaks to town, to launch around the city. So the city let us use their kayaks, which was great. But those are the kind of opportunities that might exist when we're looking at a bigger picture of trying to attract people to town. That's what we need to look at. We need to look at, ice fishing. We're a huge ice fishing destination. We have the world's largest ice fishing tournament in Oshkosh. Do we do anything to market ice fishing starting in, for people to just come for the weekend? And are we set up to do that? If somebody comes without a shanty, where do they get a shanty? I don't know. I don't know the answers to all of this, but that's why it's bigger than just marketing. It's big. It's really talking about like, where are those gaps and what can we possibly, expose. I love that we have more events in Milwaukee, but I'd love to be a destination like Door County too. I mean, we have a lot of those things that exist, and are we set up for that? This isn't something that happens overnight, and this isn't something that happens from a logo. This is something that happens with work. And I think what Jeannie's speaking of is, the community really got on board behind Event City, and it might be time to do that again. Whether it's that logo or not, it doesn't really matter. It's about getting everybody on the same page and saying, where are opportunities as a city to grow? And we know how to do events. They're not going away. This isn't about events going away. This is about how do we add to that mix? And I think we're missing, I think we're leaving money on the table by not exploring some of that. Oops, I think you're muted. Yeah.
Sorry, we have a message from Gary. He said, how about paving and marketing the Oshkosh Trail for biking and snow sports?
Yes. So Gary, do you have some money that we can have right now? I'm just kind of kidding, but I think that's the kind of thing that, Kelly, I don't know if you want to say anything about the grant, but that's why we're trying to jointly apply for this grant, because we know that there needs to be some infrastructure changes to make some of this stuff happen. So Kelly, do you want to just speak a little bit to that?
Sure. A big part of the grant is going to be, as Amy kind of mentioned, almost like a tourism opportunity study. What else is out there? And maybe it's something like, assisting businesses to try to help somebody, open a shop that rents kayaks or boats. Or maybe it's the city needs to look at adding more boat launches or having certain amenities at boat launches and through town. And then the other thing would be, it was working with the county and the city's parks department and seeing, looking at our existing infrastructure and amenities and say, okay, how could this be improved? So that would definitely be something with paving, the Oshkosh Trail, just obviously with the Tribal Heritage Trail going over Butamore, and now the city put in the trail going along Lakeshore, and we're going to continue on through Rainbow. We really will, I think, see that Oshkosh Trail, that connection to the regional, area in the state. I think that's going to be a big draw for people. And I think, Amy, that'd probably be something that we would be marketing just because it's something new and it's something that people are getting in more into that outdoor stuff too. So, and then the snow sports are another thing, as Amy said, we do have the ice fishing. Do we market it? Maybe a little bit. Is it, do we always have the conditions for ice fishing? No. So is it something where we need to look at that, some sort of tourism attraction or feature that would attract people here in the winter for something related to snow? Maybe it's a mountain biking in the snow track. I don't know, just trying to think of different things that is unique to Oshkosh that would bring folks here as a destination.
Yeah, and I mean, just like a little list of things, like if you think about the things that Oshkosh has to offer already that could potentially be, exposed or bigger or added onto or incentivized or whatever. I mean, think about, we have a great brewery scene. We have weddings, we have trails, we have shopping, we have fishing, parks, museums, dining, waterfront dining. Waterfront dining is huge. So many places do not have that. Biking, ice fishing, music, arts, sports. And none of those things really go, really are talked about with the Event City piece. And it's not, again, I don't know what we'll come up with. Maybe they'll say, events is, but I think we were in a different place when Event City was launched. To Jeannie's point, we did not have a hotel downtown that was decent. We did not have, the convention center was not in great repair. You wouldn't believe the reputation that we've still got with people staying in that downtown hotel, that they think it's run by the same place that it was before. So even booking conferences now, we say you've got to come see it. It's amazing. And Jeannie, yes, everybody will be brainstorming on this. This this is a community look at this. The timeline of the grant is looking at applying next week, Kelly? Submitting next week-ish. We've been working hard on that. And then when we hear from it, this is, this isn't a tomorrow thing, but certainly, we would have to put out RFPs for, tourism people that come in and do these destination assessments. And then there's, I think much like I wasn't involved when Event City was done, but that was something that the entire community was involved in, and that's the exact path we're trying to go down. The great part about this is that we could potentially have some money to do it. As I mentioned before, our budget has been, we're down about 60%. So, we've got to figure out how to do this with funds. We have to get creative. So that's what we're doing. But yeah, great idea.
Well, Amy, thank you so much. I know we're almost at 1 o'clock, so thank you so much for everything you're doing for our community, for tourism, and thank you for your time today to talk to us about that. And we're excited for the swag bags, so thank you very much for that. If you are interested, please email Patty your physical address, and the CVB will make sure that you get one of those swag bags. Our next meeting is October 1st. So please mark your calendars for October 1st for our next meeting. Thank you everyone for your time today, and enjoy your extended weekends. Have a good day.
Happy Labor Day.
Bye.